Howdy everyone, this is LockNutz, and you're watching a map tour of Bredow by ThiluLP. Hopefully you'll stick around to see what happens. Howdy, how are you guys doing today? Oh my goodness, I tell you what, today we get to do a map tour of Bredow by ThiluLP, and I do apologize if I got that one wrong. Oh, this little bad mamma jamma is 221.05 megabytes to download and is very, very cross-platform friendly. Oh, you betcha. Oh man, before we get too far into things, I'd like to go ahead and take a moment and read what the map maker has in store for us. Welcome to Bredow, a district of Friesland in the beautiful Havelland. To the map is a real replica of Bredow. Bredow is in Brandenburg, Germany, more precisely, the Havelland. The map includes fields and meadows from under 1 hectare up to 55 hectares. Features: complete place Bredow with surroundings, small yard for field management and forestry, a true-to-origin replica of the machine hall and shelter of the yard, external court with adjacent construction area for expansion, animated gates as many entryways and machine halls, 7 productions including sawmill and a biogas, 3 sell points, a river and pond to get water, 41 small fields and large fields and meadows, several forestry areas, independent repeated purchase of fermentation residue at the biogas plant is possible, and 5 construction areas for expansion of your own yard or for multiplayer modes. Oh my gosh, I tell you what, that's pretty darn slick, Now, this is that hall they were talking about that cannot be, or I should say is to replica. That's what they're talking about, this machine hall. This is the bad mamma jamma right here. But before we get too far into things, one thing I want to say is that we did end up starting this off in new farmer mode. That way you do know what you end up starting off with if you do start off in that. Start from scratch, you start off with $500,000. Farm Manager 1.5 million, and new farmer mode you start off with $100,000. But not only that, you do start off with some machinery. Now let's go ahead and take a look at that. Alright, so here you go. This is where you start off with. You start off with 1 Steyr, not too bad, nice little workhorse. And you do start off with the Valtra and the Massey Ferguson. Pretty darn slick. Harvesters, you start off with the top liner, along with 1 Dutzfar top liner grain header, and of course you gotta have the trifecta of the header trailer. Vehicles, you do start off with 1 pickup truck. She's black and she's a beaut. Trailer wise, you start off with 1 standard trailer. Cultivator, you start off with 1 Rab cultivator. Seeder, you do start off with this Nordstein seeder. Mowing decks, you do start off with the Nova Cat. That's pretty darn slick. And you start off with 1 foraging wagon. Not too shabby. And to tie it all up, you do start off with a couple weights. Now that's what you start off with material-wise, or implements. Let's go see what you start off with land-wise. Alright, so this is what the map looks like. And as you can see, there are several different sized fields in here. Kind of jammed in, packed where that you can kind of get yourself into a nice big town area to go ahead and drive through. Nice little scenery from getting to point A to point B. Not too shabby at all. And as you can see here, they do start off with several production facilities on the map. I believe it actually is all of them that are available to us, so you do have that going for you. As for what land you actually start off with here, you do start off with a couple things in new farmer mode. This area and this area right here are both the farmyards. This is kind of where we're set up right now. We'll come over here and take a look at this guy in a little bit, but you do start off with 2 fields, field 7 and field 24. Now, all of this stuff here isn't too bad price-wise, so if you do want to start off with one of these, if you're not starting off in that mode, not too bad. But if you're looking to go ahead and expand, we do have a vast variety of field prices, as you can probably guess. This field over here, 39, the most expensive field at $3.4 million. Absolutely massive. Oh man, and as you can see, they do have some quite large fields over here. But the absolute smallest field on here, or cheapest field, is field 19 at 37,000. Not too shabby. Now, there are a couple forestry areas on here. This one right here, right near your main farm, is the cheapest at 53,000. And this little bugger here off by the lake is the most expensive at $624,000. So not too bad. You do have a couple other little small forestry areas. This right here, there's some forestry that's kind of tied in with this field right here. But all in all, that's not too bad. Now, it did mention that there are 5 different placeable areas or expansion areas. That would be these little guys right here. 41, 80,000, 112,000, 42,000, and 75,000. So they're either expandable or set up that you can go ahead and do multiple farms on a multiplayer, or even if this is where you want to go ahead and set your farm up and rock and roll, it's not too shabby, not too shabby. All in all, though, no matter what your budget is, there are quite the variety of prices on here. Some of the fields, the smaller ones, obviously are cheaper, and as you work your way up, you do end up having quite the pocket change that you're going to have to go ahead and throw out to be able to purchase these items. All in all, though, it does have a nice variety of field sizes and different prices, so that's pretty darn slick. But I guess at this point here, let's go back here and take a look at things. What we'll probably end up doing here is doing a little drive-through before we fly through the air and see what the aerial view looks like. We'll probably come up here, take a look at the biogas and the secondary farm, and then we'll kind of loop around looking at some of these areas, also taking a peek at the forestry. So let's get our hats on and get ourselves ready to go. Alright, so one of the things that I like to do is I like to put the map on in the corner so that you guys can follow along with where I'm at and what's going on here. Alright, so this is your main farm area. This is that machine hall or the machine shed that was talked about right here. Nice big area. Nice place to go ahead and store a bunch of machinery. You do have this area up top here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. This area up top here, you can't really do much right here, but you possibly can store some pallets up here if you do have some loose pallets. So you do have that going for you. Probably need a telehandler or a fork truck to kind of get up here. Telehandler would probably be better. That way you can utilize as much of the space as possible, but not too shabby. Can't get into there. Okay. Let's head on over here, and this is where your truck is. It's kind of neat. You have your big machine hall right over here, and then you do have a spot right here for your vehicle. It's pretty darn slick. As you can see, you do start off with a power washer. Now, for placeable items on here, there are a couple placeable items that you can go ahead and put down. Let's go ahead and look at that right now. On this map here, you have 2 farmhouses, and that's it. That's the only real special items that you have here. This one really isn't even a farmhouse. It's more of a barn or a shed or whatever you have. And then you do have this little bad mamma jamma right here. Those are the 2 extra things, I guess, that you'd find on this map for putting stuff down. As for demolishing anything in the yard, this building right here is the only thing that you can go ahead and get rid of on this yard. Over in the other farmyard, we'll go ahead and take a look at that in a minute or two here. You can get rid of absolutely everything. So if you want to start over and kind of do things the way you want to, go for it. It doesn't matter. You have that room. You have that capability. Now, I'm just going to pop over here because this is that small forestry area. This is dense. This is very dense. And even though, as we look at the map back there for just a little bit, there's not a lot when it comes to actual forestry areas. Yeah, there's kind of a bigger area. You have the smaller area right here. This is how dense everything is. Super compact. So if you do want to go ahead and do forestry on here, you're really going to have to just plow your way in. You're not going to be able to do it any other way. Oh, and let's come over here and take a look at this. Yeah, you have $1,000 for all those collectibles. That's pretty darn slick. Let's take a peek here really quick. And there are a total of 100 collectibles on this map. $1,000 a piece, not too shabby at all. Let's go ahead and hop in our truck and start driving around all over the place. See what's going on. Get the lay of the land. Now, one thing that I am going to end up doing here, and hopefully this doesn't bother too many people, but one of the things I like to do is I like to drive through the fields. That way you guys can kind of get a better lay of the land, you know, the bumps, the bruises, the nicks, the undulations, you know, whatever it is that you want to call it. You'll be able to witness that stuff just a little bit easier when we actually drive through and see the physical lay of the land. One thing I do want to point out is that the traffic on this map is actually pretty darn slow, so that's good to know. You aren't going to have to worry about cars coming in, whipping around at blazing hot speeds. It's not going to what's going to happen on this map. Let's actually turn this thing around. Kind of screw that one up. And one thing that I did end up seeing, I don't know if we'll be able to see it here, but earlier on I was able to see that there were vehicles that were actually turning around. Like they went the wrong way and they made a U-turn. Very, very odd, but pretty cool in all respects. Now this is the other farmyard that I was talking about. This is the one you do start off with as well in New Farmer mode. As you can see, you do start off with a cow shed. It is one of the large. It is the large one, so you do have that going for you. It's all set up, ready to go. You do have one bunker silo over here, a very large bunker silo, and then you do start off with this little shed. When I say little shed, it's not a little shed. It's a massive shed, absolutely massive shed. You got your little repair station in there. Pretty darn slick, pretty darn slick. You can fit a lot of stuff in on this map. Or I should say in on your starting farmyards. There's just tons and tons of space to maneuver. Even that other farmyard we were in, it does actually have quite a bit of room to maneuver your way around. It doesn't seem like it because it's long and skinny, but it really does have a lot of room in there. And here we go with your BGA. You got 2 silage bunkers right there. You got a nice little storage spot. Oh yeah, pretty darn slick. Pretty darn slick. I will say that for sure. Let's kind of get ourselves out of this little hole that we're in. And let's continue our little tour around the map. We're going to kind of come up here and, like I said, hit some of these smaller fields. Not that fence. But we're going to hit some of these smaller fields up here. As you can see, now this is one thing that definitely does come true. No matter where you are on this map, it's very, very flat. You're not going to have to worry. You're not going to have to worry about running into anything, having to like oversize the horsepower on any of your vehicles to be able to compensate for the land. You're not going to need to do it. Everything is really, really flat. But I think it does a good job of breaking things up. How do I say it? Yeah, it gives, by just like the trees, the way the roads are running through here, it doesn't seem like it's very flat. Alright, sorry about that. Rosie the farm dog had her 2 cents that she wanted to put in, and, well, she had, oh my gosh. Well, I tell you what. Oh man, that's a good opportunity. One of the things I wanted to go ahead and do here is show you where the reset point is, and I guess it's as good a point as any. Oh my gosh. So, word of advice, don't try and drive through this. Maybe if you want to, you can throw a bridge up over the top of it, but you're not going to be able to go ahead and do anything with it. Oh boy. Alright, so let's go ahead and reset that guy. Alright, so when we go ahead and reset the vehicle, it is actually going to take us back to the shop right here. So what we'll go ahead and do is we'll do a little loop-de-loo around and come ourselves back up over here. Enter vehicle. Like I said, this is where you end up starting off with. If you buy any new vehicles or you reset your vehicle, this is where you end up. which is not that bad of a spot because now we can go ahead and take a little look over here. As you can see, there's like a little... Where are you going? Where are you going? There's a little path coming back up over here. This is one of those purchasable areas right here. As you can see, you aren't having many trees in these areas, and that'd be one way to be able to distinguish what's going on from where these little purchasable areas are, for putting either factories or your own starting farm or anything like that. It are the areas that really don't have any trees on them. So if you are looking at that, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that these roads here are pretty darn narrow. So if you want to get from point A to point B after going ahead and purchasing a vehicle, you're going to have to be very, very careful. Plan your routes out getting out of town because it's going to be relatively difficult, and that's for sure. And try to find a good spot right here to kind of go in, and again, there really is no good spot to go in. I do like this train track coming through here. It almost feels like you could restore it, but probably not. It's a nice little feature of days gone by. And as you come up through here, oh, look at the wildlife. Pretty neat. Like I said, there is a lot of trees over in here. A lot of trees and very, very dense. So you have to keep that in mind. If your idea is to do forestry, you're going to make a ton of cash off of doing forestry on this map just by the sheer amount of trees that are crammed into different plots of land. So kind of keep that in mind when you're doing forestry, or like I said, if you want to do forestry, there's just tons and tons of trees in one plot. So don't feel bad if you get out there and it seems like, oh man, this doesn't seem really big. You're going to have to work hard to even blaze a trail back where you're going to go ahead and do all your work. So keep that in mind. We're going to take a quick little look-see up here at the larger fields on the map, and as you can see, they just go on for days and days and days. If you really want to, you can cut down all the trees in the center, mulch them up, and then plow them together to make an even more massive field. I mean, as it is, this one here is going to take forever and a day just to be able to complete a harvest, to be able to plow. I mean, my gosh, this would take forever to go ahead and plow anything on there. Obviously, unless you're using mods, or as what I like to do, get some friends. Get some friends out here to go ahead and do a little bit of harvesting with you, do a little bit of plowing together. You can really knock a lot of this stuff out. It's pretty darn slick. Now, one thing I want to go ahead and touch on here real quick is let's come up here and take a look at some of the smaller fields. Now, if you decide that the smaller fields are the way you're going to go, or if you're in the process of building stuff up, you have very, very narrow paths to get from point A to point B. It's kind of a common trend on here. You will have to contend with traffic. Like I said, elevation changes, that's not going to be a concern. Not at all. But you are going to end up having to worry about getting from point A to point B. Just because everything is so darn narrow, everything is just so compact. The map plays bigger than it really is, just because of the way the roads are laid out, the narrowness of the roads, the obstacles in between point A and point B. So, biggest thing is if you are going to take this route where you are doing the smaller items, you're doing the smaller implements, you're doing the smaller everything, you really have to take a look at it, how to get from point A to point B. You need to plan your route and kind of stick to it. You're not going to be able to cut through many of these fields here like I'm trying to do, just because of the amount of stuff that's in the way. You're really going to have to either buy the land to cut the trees down, or you're going to have to really just use the roads. It's all in all a pretty darn slick setup that they got going on here. I really like how they make this feel bigger than it really is, just because of the obstacles they put in place. Now at this point here, guys, what I'd like to do is I'd like to fly up into the sky like Mary Poppins and take a look and see what things look like from up above. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and fly up into the sky. Oh man, as you guys can see here, it is a nice area. Like, you have all of this space out here. Like I said, it seems like it's pretty compact. It's all nice and tight together, but you see this road system you have to get through town here. It really is. It is compact. It is compact. You got everything to get from point A to point B. You need to plan your routes out. The roads are narrow. Everything is going to be a challenge getting around. But when you can get to where you want to go, where you can get to where the action is happening, that is pretty darn slick. Now, there are contracts on this map. The contracts do kind of reflect the sizes of the fields, so if you want to and you have to and you're doing a larger contract, they give you big equipment. That may not be the best thing for you, just because of the narrowness of the roads. You're going to really have to look at things. I know I keep saying that, and I keep emphasizing that, but you really are going to have to go ahead and really plan your routes out because of the narrowness of the roads and the compactness, the way that you're being funneled from point A to point B. It is a really neat concept. It is a really neat concept. It's a great way of making, like I said before, these small maps seem big. Make them play big. The craziness of the fields. Yeah, you have a lot of straight edges, but it's crazy how they're all just jammed in here in a checkerboard pattern. Not checkerboard, like a patchwork pattern. Almost like a quilt or something like that. It's pretty darn slick. It's pretty darn slick. This definitely seems like it has a lot of potential as being a multiplayer map, giving you tons of different options, especially when it comes to doing these large fields right here. Getting a group of guys together, or gals, whatever you want to say. It just seems like a great adventure that you could possibly have with this. Great stories that could be told. Great pictures that you can paint with your imagination on this one. I highly recommend this one, but you know what? Don't go ahead and take my word for it. Go ahead and download it for yourself. Comment down below. Let me know what you think of this map. I think it looks pretty darn slick. I think it has the capability of playing small or playing large, with the option being 100% up to you. Oh man, I tell you what. If you're liking what you're hearing, liking what you're seeing, go ahead and smash that like button. Go ahead and help the channel out by going ahead and smashing that subscription. Turn the notification bell on and have it set to all. That way you know when this and other great videos are coming out. Guys, I tell you what, go ahead and share this with somebody who likes thickly populated woods. Lots of trees. Or maybe even large fields. I think you guys know what's up. Oh man, I tell you what, guys, I tell you what, this one looks like a fun one. Until I get to jump on that one, or until you get to jump on it. Thanks for stopping by.